here we have the inside of the Autoroller Pegasso 740. If we firstly come to the main control panel just here, we can turn the 12 volt on. Once we've done this, we then have buttons this side, this one here being for the water pump, so water pump on when it's highlighted. We then have awning light on and off, cabin lights on and off, and then they can all be individually turned on and off on their own switches. Internal temperature, and then down this side we have how much water is in the fresh tank, how much water is in the waste tank, condition of the leisure battery, and condition of the vehicle battery. This here is letting us know that we are hooked up to the main supply and that the batteries are being charged. If we now move across, we then have the control panel for the Truma heating and hot water. At the moment it's displaying the time and is also letting us know we have main supply connected. If we now press the button, you will see a series of icons appear, and as I rotate they begin to flash. So if we start with the first icon just up here, this one is for your heating. If we now click on it, heating is off, and all we now do is rotate and pick whatever temperature we would like it to be inside the motorhome, right the way up to very toasty 30 degrees. So we're going to set it at 21, and you'll now see that little flame has appeared above, and that little flame there just represents the heating system. It's just letting you know you've set a parameter. Whenever the heating is actually in operation, the flame will begin to flash, and then it will continue to flash until it achieves the temperature that you have asked it to. After that, we then have the icon for hot water, and again if I now click, you'll see hot water is off, and all we now do is just rotate again, and we can heat hot water in eco mode, which will give us a temperature of about 40 degrees. We can heat it in hot, which will give us a temperature of about 60 degrees. And we can also perform a boost on the boiler. The boost was mainly designed for if there's going to be more than one of you having showers in quick succession of each other, or if you just want a longer shower. If you do perform the boost and the heating's running, the heating will turn off as it needs to use that extra power. After heating and hot water, we then have power source, and we are currently using mains electricity using 2 kilowatts. If I rotate, we can lower the power consumption to 1 kilowatt if we're on a low amp site to stop ourselves from tripping. We can use dual fuel, so we can use a mixture of the gas and mains at 2 kilowatts, or a mixture of gas and mains at 1. These settings are especially handy in the winter months, so you will get up to temperature nice and quickly, and it will only use the gas as it's required. And then lastly, if we don't have any main supply, we can solely run on the gas. After power source, we then have circulation fan for the heating. So the fan is currently in eco, we can turn it up to high. This fan can also be used to vent the motorhome. So if we now turn off both hot water and heating, and now return to it, we can put it into vent mode, and it has a fan speed of 1 to 10, and on a warm day we can just circulate the air. If we now drop to the lower icons, this first one here is for a basic timer. Pick when you would like the system to fire up, and then end. And then once we've done that, you can literally just tell it what you want within that time period. Timer on or timer off. If I now activate the timer icon will come up there, and now within that time period those settings will apply. If I now go back to it, we can now turn it back off again, and when we return to it we can then alter it again. The next icon is just the clock set, and then lastly we have the settings menu. So within that we have offset, which is just for the onboard thermostat. If you don't think it's quite correct, you can just slightly adjust it. Temperature, just if you prefer it displayed in Celsius or Fahrenheit. Brightness of the screen. 12 or 24 hour clock. Language. Index, which is more for the technicians in the workshop. It just lets them know what software it's running. And then lastly, full factory reset. From time to time, these control panels will throw up error codes, but they will be relatively basic stuff. So if you're trying to run it on mains supply and you don't have mains connected, or if you're running it on gas and you've run out, etc., an error code will appear where my finger is here. It will appear as a warning triangle. If you then click on it, it will display the error code. It's a series of numbers and letters. If you look in the manual, or if you Google it, you can then find what the problem is. 9 times out of 10, as long as you rectify the problem, the error code will just automatically disappear. If that's not the case straight away, if you then just double click on the little warning triangle, it will sometimes then say no error and disappear. If that still does not work, if you still have heating or hot water or anything running along the top here, just make sure you've turned them off, because it can reassess a lot faster when it's not trying to do lots of things at once. If you've done that and it's still not working, I then always suggest the good old-fashioned turn it off and turn it back on again. And the way we turn it off is just by holding it. Hold it past the app until it says off, and then wait until off has disappeared, and then it will allow you to turn it back on again. If when you turn it back on you still have an error code, I always then suggest just doing the full reset, because sometimes the control panels can just glitch and they just need to be reset. If when turning it off you hold it until it says app, this just puts it in a semi-dormant state, so you can still control it via the Truma app that you can download and put on your phone or a tablet. If you are going to do this, you need to just come to the overhead compartment just here, and you will see the Truma iNet box. Once you've downloaded the Truma app onto your device, make sure the Bluetooth is turned on and then launch the app. Once you've launched it, you'll see a button that says remote control. Just press that and then follow the on-screen instructions. It will firstly ask you to come to the Bluetooth button just here and press it, and then you will be able to start connecting up. Once you've connected, you'll then be able to turn your heating and your hot water off and on, etc. locally via Bluetooth. If you want to control it from further afield, you can add a SIM card just here and then register it through the app, and then you'll be able to control everything from much further afield. Also in here we have the solar panel regulator. We do not need to do anything with it. It will just smart charge the leisure battery as it is required. If we now come down to the seating area just here, and we just remove the cushions for a moment. If we now lift up here, you'll see the location of the leisure battery, and then the 12 volt fuse is just here. They are all labelled up, so if something's not working on 12 volt, just come to check to see whether or not you may have blown a fuse. If you are going to be using the overcab drop down bed, you need to make sure that both of the seats are like this, and it's just a matter of the levers just here, just pulling them and then dropping them down like so. It's then just a matter of unclipping up the top, and then pulling down like so. There is a light up here, and it's just a touch light just there. You'll also see that you've also got netting that you can clip. If we now come across to the travel seats, if we just move the table out of the way, and we do that just by pushing this lever just here. If we now again just remove the cushions out of the way, we can then see the location of the fresh water tank and the water pump. So if we just move this infill bit out, obviously this needs to be removed if you're using both travel seats. If we now just drop this down, you can see the water pump just here. And if we now flap this up, you can see the fresh water tank. To drain this down, we do actually have to go inside the tank itself. And there are two drain points. There is one that will drain the tank completely, and then there is a second one that is classed as the travel drain, so you can just drain off some of the water. This is also a really good place to come to if you want to add cleaning powders, etc. to your fresh water system. This motorhome has been fitted with a satellite system. So if we firstly just slide the television out of the way, you will see the controls just here. All we need to do is just turn it on. In the UK, we mainly use Astra 28. Obviously, as you travel around Europe, you will need to tune into different satellites. This will now auto seek and lock on. Once it's locked on, because we are using an Avtex television, this comes with FreeSat already built in. So you will see now on here that the blue light is no longer flashing. So it's now locked on to Astra 2. So if I now turn the television on, it should automatically decode the satellite signal. Right. There we go. You then have the TV guide just here, and then it's just literally just pick what you want to watch. This motorhome was previously fitted with a sat box up here, which is wired into the HDMI. The only way you would be able to use this is obviously if you paid the subscription. It's pretty pointless now because obviously we're running a FreeSat Avtex television, so I personally wouldn't use it. These TVs also have a DVD point just here, and also USB connectivity at the top. But if we now just turn it back off again, and stow it back in, we do just need to make sure that obviously when we're using the satellite that we are also turned on in here as well. To put the satellite away, we can either just start the ignition or literally just press the middle button just here, and it will then put the dish back down again. Beneath the main control panel we have the Thetford fridge freezer. On and off on this one just here. This is an automatic model, so as long as you are on A for auto, it will find the best power source it can for you. So because we're hooked up to main supply at the moment, it's put us straight on to the mains. If I now ran outside and pulled the mains lead out, it would then automatically attempt to fire itself up onto gas, and as soon as we start the engine, it will then automatically put itself over to 12 volt maintain. We can take it out of auto, and all we need to do is just hold the grey button in and you'll see it begin to flash, and then we can pick, so we can manually put it onto mains, manually put it onto 12 volt maintain, and manually put it onto gas. But auto is the easiest one to have it on. So if I now press this, it will then switch over to the temperature control. Again, just use your arrows and then just press. Opens just here, and we have the nice large freezer compartment above, and we have the pull out part beneath. Beside it we have a nice pull out rack. In the roof we have the trimmer, a venter, air conditioning unit. If we now come to the remote control, we can turn it on. At the moment we are in air conditioning mode. We then can control the temperature on the plus and the minus. We have fan speed just here. And then we have mode. So I can put it into climate control, so we just literally pick the temperature and it will maintain it. We can just use it to circulate the air, and then back to air conditioning again. If we then slide down, we can set timers etc. on here. We also have a night mode, which will make the system much quieter. We have lights as well, and then turn it back off again. We have the hob just here, so it's just push in, twist, and then ignite. Bear with me, it's a bit of a two-handed job this, so I'm just going to put the camera down for a second. There we go. Beneath that we then have the oven and the grill, and it's just pushing to the left for the oven, and then if we go back to off and we push in and go to the right, we can then fire up the grill. Beneath we have the gas isolation taps for the cooker, the hob, the fridge and the heating and the hot water. They are all in the on position and they can stay like that. I say that these are more for maintenance. If you smell gas in the van, it's always more advisable to just go to the gas bottles and turn them off. Beneath that we have the main strip switches just here. So we have the individual MCBs, the RCD and the test button just here. So if something's not working on mains, just come to this location and see whether or not you've tripped inside the motorhome. The isolator for the air conditioning unit is just here, and beside it we have a main socket and light strip on and off just here. Basin just here, and the shower cubicle just here. Again, touch light just there. If we now come across to the Thetford toilet, the bowl swivels all about, open to the cassette just down here, and then push to flush just here. Level indicator just at the back, which will rotate round to red when the cassette needs emptying, and then close back up to the cassette again just there. If this has been left open and you try to remove the cassette, it will not open. So if you are feeling resistance, just make sure that nobody's left the flap open. We then have the rear fixed bed. We do have storage in the steps. And we also have storage underneath the mattress. Again, we can also have a television in the back here as well. And then we have the wardrobes on both sides.